Hey everybody, my name is Frank. My story is some kind of horror movie, because I have one mystical ability to see the death. To be exact, not the death itself, but I see the way someone will die. At 14, a bad story happened to me. I was coming home, I don't remember where. It was a dark and gloomy street. Well, that's quite normal because it was almost night, but the atmosphere was obscure. Later, I rushed across the road, but some driver thought he took part in the death march. Halfway down the road, we crashed. I mean, me and the car bumper because the driver hadn't even slowed down. I flew far away. I crashed into a tree with all my body. There's still a big dent there as a monument to my vitality. Certainly, I do not remember what happened later. I suspect an ambulance and a couple of operations because I have scars on my head and I have a metal pin in my spine. Plus, a piece of paper about how I was in a coma for 2 weeks, not going back to my consciousness. But I came back to life. My mother said it was the worst thing. No one gave any predictions. The longer the coma lasted, the less chances of regaining consciousness I had. But one sunny day, I just opened my eyes and spoke up. I started cursing. Because for me, there were no days when I was laying down. In my mind, I was still flying into the tree after my encounter with the bumper. Well, yeah, okay. The important thing was that all of my body functions worked. And then I just went out somewhere and I really freaked out because a real dead man was walking to me. He was green with bald spots in the skin through which I could see his bones. His tongue was thick and blue. Somehow he was in water, though it was summer and even puddles were out of the question. Then I blinked in surprise, and instead of a drowned dead man, I saw my neighbor from the first floor. And here I got totally stunned. Because, for example, after a coma, you can forget how to hold a spoon. Yeah, it happens. But taking my neighbors for dead people? Well, I don't know. And the most terrible thing happened the next day. He just disappeared. He went on a fishing trip with his friends and didn't come back. Everyone said they agreed to meet on a certain place on their way back, but he didn't appear, so they went home without him. He was lost. For some reason, I immediately started to suspect that something bad would happen. Okay, let's leave the intrigue for wimps. They found the neighbor drowned in that fishing lake. When they dragged him out, the crayfish had already eaten too much of his meat. Pardon me, but they ate out a couple big holes in him. Still, I was trying to take it for a coincidence. The certainty that all this was never an accident came later, so to speak, with my experience. I learned to understand what I was shown and how all this mystical stuff works. Anyway, by the inexplicable whirling of my own brain, I started seeing the people who were going to die in the next 24 hours. Their dead bodies and the way they were going to be found. Well, I could almost set the approximate death time and diagnosis without a password or an SMS. When I got it, I almost went crazy. I was wondering where the logic was lost there. And then a terrible thing happened. That all wasn't so joyful, but look, I was in love with this one girl, since we were in the kindergarten probably. Still, I wasn't too brave to tell her about it. We joined the same class later. Our houses were nearby. Seems like, what's the problem, man? But hey, instead of my dear freckled face, I saw a dead one with bruises and a tire track on her whole back. I had 24 hours, so much time, but in fact, it would flash in a moment. And for the first time in my life, I wanted to do something great. I wanted to get my love from trouble. You know, when you think you have a lot of time ahead, you just want to postpone everything and not move. And here, the time suddenly tripled. Now or never, so all my fears remained in the past. I approached her, we talked, and I spent the whole day trying not to move away, even on a single step from her. And you know, I did it, though it was hard, because she was stressed. She said some stalker had been following her, but she had never mentioned him before. She didn't even say a word about him. It was late in the evening when I saw her at home and made sure she went to bed, and went home. You can guess what happened, right? I was hit by a car, and all those bruises and the wheel imprint got in me too. Such a lesson was a vaccination against my permissiveness and naivete. The universe told me kinda like, look, but don't touch. Now I understand. I'm not a fool. But honestly, I don't get it. Why do I have to see something since nothing can be changed? Now I'm 18. It's been exactly 4 years since I've had my strange gift, and exactly 2 years since I saved the girl. The car still hit her, and soon enough. So I just delayed the inevitable thing, and I got myself a present. I did not continue my studies after school. I just couldn't. Too many dead people when I'm in a crowd. but I mastered a good profession, funeral bureau manager. This place is made for people like me. Everyone is already dead there. No one wanders around with a dead face. And still, it helps me to make my career using my uncanny ability. I could slip a business card just in time to another future dead man. Folks, I kinda should tell you the moral of the story here, but the one thing I could say now, the future is predetermined. Write in the comments if you have any paranormal abilities. Maybe you can see something or predict something, and every fatalist should like my video.